Video we'll talk about Enteliweb energy modules. Enteliweb has several tools that are built in for visualizing and exporting utility meter data, and we'll show you what those are. One of those is the Energy tab. You can find this on the left-handed navigation of Enteliweb. Expand this and you'll see all of your areas and groups of utility meters as well as the meters themselves all the way at the lowest level. You can view the meter data in areas, so the area would be DC, in groups, so a group would be elementary schools, or in just the meters themselves. If you click on any individual meter, you can view meter data for that. The data is visualized so that the darker colors represent a value that's closest to the peak demand, and the lighter colors, such as yellow, are values that are farther away from the peak demand. You can visualize the data in 4 different time increments. If you select the year data, then the data is broken down by month. You can click any of these months on the chart or up here, or you can select month to break it down into month view, which will give you the data by day. If you select the week view, you can also view data by day. And if you click on the day, you'll see the consumption by hour. When looking at the hour view, you'll see 2 clocks. These represent AM and PM respectively, and they are color-coded the same as the rest of the views. If you'd like to skip ahead to the next time increment, such as the next week, if you have week selected, you can use this right arrow or the left arrow to go back. You can also do a baseline comparison, which will show you consumption this year versus consumption last year. Select baseline comparison. The blue chart columns will represent last year's data, and the one on the right represents this year's data. A green block means that the consumption was significantly less. Yellow means that it was close to last year's, and red would mean that you consumed more, meaning worse performance. If you'd like to see a breakdown of a group of meters, you can select the group. The performance view will give you simply the consumption. If you go to breakdown, you can view the consumption by meter. This list on the left gives you the amount and percentage that each meter was responsible for versus the total consumption. There's also a pie chart on the right that visualizes the same data, and an area chart on the bottom. If you'd like to change the meter type, you can use these dialog options next to the word utilities. I don't believe these meters are reading currently. If you'd like to export data, then you can use the reports option. Above energy on Enteliweb navigation, click reports. And here you'll find a list of all energy reports that you can run. There's many different types, so we'll go through and talk about some of the more common ones. If you have any more questions about others, you can always go to the Enteliweb help here in the top right and read a bit more about them. The consumption meter the consumption report gives you a consumption, peak demand, and minimum demand report for 1 year with baseline data. So we can look at an example of that. If we look at this first consumption meter report, as you can see, the different parameters that you can enter here. You can change the utility type, the year, and the baseline year. If you'd like to add or remove meters to this report, click the plus sign. and expand your options. You can simply drag a meter in, drag a meter, remove a meter if you'd like, and click Run. Here you'll have the data. It's grouped by months in the consumption view. In the consumption report, you'll get the kilowatt hours baseline and this year's peak and peak and minimum demand. At the top right, if you'd like to export, you can export as an Excel document, PDF, PowerPoint, or a Word document. Many different of these meters have been created for you. If you'd like to create your own, you can just click the consumption. You'll fill out your own parameters, drag in all your meters, and then you'll click Save. The next common meter report that we do is a consumption by meter, which gives you the consumption and demand for multiple meters or groups of meters. This allows you to give a custom time range. So let's take a look at that and you'll see what I mean. So if you drag in your different groups and respective meters that you'd like to do a consumption by meter comparison report for, again, you select the meter type. You can select your date range here. For instance, we could do yesterday's report. And then you select your occupancy time. This will break up the meter data to show how much was consumed during occupancy time, how much was consumed outside of occupancy time. So let's run a report just for yesterday and take a look at what it looks like. So as you can see, none of the DC middle school utility meters logged any consumption yesterday, so maybe they were offline. And all the consumption was found in this group. And it gives you max demand, minimum demand consumption, and baseline consumption for yesterday. Another common meter is consumption by time. This is actually pretty similar to consumption by meter with, I think, one slight difference. This gives you a roll-up of each day, as you can see. And it will break it down based on each meter. The report we just ran, it grouped the meters into groups. This one would be more if you wanted to see which meters were responsible for which consumption. And the last one we'll talk about is the daily average report. This compares average demand over a 24-hour period. This can be useful for some local troubleshooting to see if you wanted to look at yesterday, what consumed a whole lot of stuff, where the spikes were, then you could use this report for that. You can select your date range, so you can go by month. Let's say do yesterday's, you can set it to 5-minute roll-up time. When we run this, this should give me average demands every 5 minutes for yesterday. There we go. And there you have all your data. You can, again, export this. Comes out pretty good in pretty much every format. So it's a pretty powerful tool. And again, there's a whole lot you can do with this reporting function. So if there's anything I didn't cover, just again go to the help file. They'll give you a detailed explanation on what each of these reports can do.